All right, guys, it has been far too long, and I have been teasing you for far too long about an amazing announcement that I have for the farm. And it's about darn tootin' time I got to it, isn't it? So here we go. It's a pretty exciting announcement, number one. Number two, it does have some drama associated with it. So this may end up being a two-parter, just be forewarned. So without further ado, the big announcement. Our herd has been accepted for dual registration into the Heritage Silky Fainting Goat Association, or into their registry. I am so thrilled, you have no idea. It is a relatively new registry, and being able to be dual registered, meaning that we're still registered with the Miniature Silky Fainting Goat Association, but now we're also registered with the Heritage Silky Fainting Goat registration, means so much to me. And I'm going to tell you why. I've been talking to you about it for, a lot of, I should probably get my words straight. I've been talking to you about this in pieces, bits and pieces over time, while I was grooming, while we were prepping for shows, while we were even at shows. And a couple of things that I have talked about in the past is that the Miniature Silky Fainting Goat Association, which is the founding association for this breed, so I want to be really clear, we are not leaving that association. All of our goats are MSFGA registered, as are our babies, and they will continue to be so. There is no change there. But that registry has started to take a turn that has a few aspects that I don't love, right? First off, the registry never focused on anything but coat and size. Conformation really was a minimal factor in the standard, and it was a tertiary factor to coat and size, which of course, as you know, I don't agree with. I think conformation should be the primary factor and coat and size secondary, for multiple reasons, right? What good is a nice, beautiful goat if it can't breed naturally, if it can't live long? You know, it's not a companion animal if it's a short-lived animal with health problems. And conformation is your foundation for not having health problems. Isn't that right, Miss Emma? As my 14-year-old goat would attest. She's 14 and a half. I actually called them 13 and a half last year. I forgot that they were older than that. You know, that's how healthy they are right now. So the other thing the Miniature Silky Association, Miniature Silky Fainting Goat Association is doing that I'm not a fan of is reducing the accepted height of the goat. So reducing it down an inch or an inch and a half. And again, that sounds very silly, right? What's the big deal? And truly, that differential is not a big deal. But what is a big deal is that you're starting to indicate smaller is better, and you have not put a lower threshold. So smaller is better, and how small is too small? There is no too small. And I have seen personally in the ring, some goats that are so small, there's no way they're healthy, right? And it is an unfortunate factor that when you're breeding for teeny tiny, you're taking your smallest possible goat to your smallest possible goat, and you continue to do that. And you've seen even with my herd, how quickly one generation to the next can change. Now, I would hope mine are changing as an improvement, but you can shrink your size pretty quickly, and we've seen it. And it's awful. The goats are standing on legs that I'm not even sure how those legs are holding up the goat. They're so thin, they're so fine boned, they're so delicate that I would be afraid of breakage, honestly. And that is an opinion that's not well accepted within the Miniature Silky Fainting Goat Association, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't mean that I'm anti-MSFGA at all. In fact, like I said, my goats are MSFGA. They will always be. They will also be shown in MSFGA shows. And sometimes we win, sometimes we don't. Sometimes I don't appreciate what the judges have selected, but I recognize that the judges are selecting those goats because based on the current standard, that is the right goat to pick. I just don't agree with it. And that is my prerogative, but it's also, the reality of the world. So, again, this is not a knock on that association. I want to be very clear. For the last 13 years, I have been a part of that association. I have organized shows. I have led shows. I have participated in shows. I will continue to be a part of that association. But about 5 or 6 years ago, a bunch of like-minded people started to really get a little frustrated with the direction and started to think about, what should we do about it, right? We can't change the registry. The registry is a privately owned registry, and theoretically, it's not, it's not a democracy, right? It's up to the owner of that registry to set the standard. And then the people who are registered within need to follow that standard. And I certainly do, by the way. My goats are all within standard. They're all within height. What I'm just not going to do is shift my focus from conformation and health to coat and teeny tiny. But we will stay within standard because that is what is appropriate. So the Heritage Silky Fainting Goat Association took a long time, and creating a registry is not an undertaking that somebody does on a lark. It is a passion project, to say the least. It is something that is, hundreds and hundreds of hours of work to develop the standard, to develop consensus around a standard, to understand what it is that your long-term goals are, to get it all established, write it out, publish it, promote it, etc. Right? It is not something that happens overnight, nor is it something that somebody takes on just because they're mad, right? It just doesn't happen. So Heritage Silky Fainting goats are a little bit different in the sense that their standard is focused on conformation first, coat second, size second. Really, they're focused on, again, sort of the tradition, the heritage of this breed, and not the future of where mini silkies are going, which is smaller, and less fainting. I haven't talked about that yet. That's next. So Heritage Silky Fainting Goat Registry actually fits our breed and my beliefs, my philosophies a lot better. I will admit freely and actually be pretty proud of the fact that some of my thoughts and opinions may have been incorporated over time. I will also admit freely that as much as I would have liked to be maybe more involved in the development of that registry, I couldn't be. I just don't have that kind of time to commit or give. And therefore, having somebody else kind of do it is amazing. So the registry itself is a recognition, being accepted into the registry, I should say, is a recognition that your goats are, and I'm just thrilled by Persephone here. She's looking like a mini Highland cow at the moment. Goofy girl. So, again, I'm excited that our herd was accepted. I don't think it was a stretch because, again, fundamentally, my breeding philosophy, my practices have all led toward that belief that the heritage form of this breed, including characteristics like fainting, including characteristics that sometimes mean that their coat isn't the most important thing in the world, but that their health and well-being is, that their reproductive systems are appropriate, no split scrotums, no double teats, no things that in the Miniature Silky Fainting Goat Association aren't even looked at because the standard doesn't call for it. And we've seen over the years that there are some goats that have won master championships and have these massive defects in conformation. Again, not an issue with the judges, not an issue with the registry. It's just a choice. And it's a choice that I choose to not embrace, right? If a goat is born on my farm and has more than 2 teats, it is not in the breeding program, period, end of story. And it's not in someone else's breeding program, it's castrated. If there were to be a split scrotum in one of my boys, it would be instant castration out of the breeding program. If a doe has the double teats, absolutely out of the breeding program, and would be sold as a pet. Now, of course, we don't spay them, so I can't prevent them from being used as a breeder, but my hope would be that I would choose a home that recognizes they shouldn't be bred. So, you know, I'm really excited that I have the ability to be dual registered. And just to be clear, dual registry is a good thing. In fact, these goats could frankly be triple registered. They could be registered with the myotonic goat registry as well because they're fainting goats. I don't do that because it really doesn't give us any benefit or any change. There aren't a whole lot of MGR activities in the area. It's not really, in my area anyway, it's not really a popular registry. There aren't shows. So triple registering isn't necessary. I have registered some of my babies with MGR on behalf of their new owners. So it is doable, and they could be triple registered. So why is this so exciting? Why do you care? It's exciting because it's a validation that the direction that my breed, my herd is going is recognized by a registry now. And that as other breeders join this registry, many of them will be dual registered, by the way. In fact, quite a lot of them. So, you know, it will give us a chance to really identify each other a little bit easier and start to work a little bit closer with each other on the propagation of that heritage land race type goat that faints, has a long coat, has an appropriate conformation, appropriate ear set, appropriate, you know, I would say all the things that MSFGA, Miniature Silky Fainting Goat Association, calls for, but also the conformation aspects and the not the shrinkage that we're seeing with MSFGA. So that is the big announcement. I'm super excited that the herd was accepted and that the goats will be dual registered and all babies will be dual registered moving forward. So that's extra value for our buyers. And it's sort of an indicator, I would call it at this point, of the different breeding philosophies. And I don't think one challenges the other in any way, shape, or form, although that's some of the drama that's happening. So that'll be part 2. I'll have to talk about that a little bit. But the last thing I want to chat about, and the last reason that this dual registry is so important to me, is about the faint. And there are really 2 schools of thought on fainting goats. And the 2 schools of thought, and I'm going to take a little walk as we do it, are, what are you doing, Miss Olive? You dug up all sorts of mud today, didn't you? Or did Miles dig the hole? No, your nose is all dirty. You dug the hole. So fainting. Fainting is, you know, school of thought 1 is it's cruel, it's horrible to the goats, and it's frowned upon. Philosophy or fainting goat school of thought 2 is it's part of their nature, it's part of their heritage, it doesn't hurt them in the least, and it's something that should actually be retained if you're truly going to be a part of a heritage breed. Now, as you guys know, I'm member, firm supporter of the Livestock Conservancy list, or Livestock Conservancy, period. Fainting goats are on that list. So for me and for my philosophy, what are you doing, Miss Ladybug? Preserving the fainting characteristic, hi girlfriend, is critical to this breed. It's critical to maintaining the true heritage aspect. Now, in the Mini Silky Fainting Association, Mini Silky Fainting Goat Association, fainting is not a requirement at all, which kind of always drove me nuts, because why call it the Miniature Silky Fainting Goat Association if you're not going to have fainting goats on your registry? Your goat does not have to faint to be a Miniature Silky Fainting Goat, and I think that's just bizarre. In the Heritage Silky Goat or Heritage Silky Fainting Goat Association, I'll get them straight eventually. Fainting is a requirement because that's part of the heritage. And again, that fundamentally works within the philosophy of what I believe to be the appropriate preservation of this endangered breed. Now, one might say that Mini Silkies aren't endangered, and that's true because Mini Silkies are a relatively new breed, so they can't really be endangered, right? They are rare, yes, but they're not endangered. And they're not on the Livestock Conservancy list. Fainting goats are. When you combine the trait of a fainting goat in a Mini Silky, which is what the origination was, Mini Silky Fainting Goat, then you're really preserving the fainting goat while helping to produce, improve, and populate the Mini Silky as a breed. So it was kind of a win-win for us. And when Mini Silky Fainting Goats as a group, and many of the breeders started to really step away from that fainting aspect because it isn't required, fundamentally I have a problem with that. How do you call an animal a fainting goat if they don't faint? Now, my goats don't faint all the time. In fact, a lot of them haven't fainted in years, but they do faint. I have seen it. I know that they're part of the fainting world. You have seen some of my babies faint. Just because my adults don't faint anymore, that's because I try and maintain a balance between a heavy fainter and a light fainter, or a zero fainter, but they're still fainters. If you take that fainting out, then what you have left is a Mini Silky goat. And there's nothing wrong with a Mini Silky goat, but it's not a Mini Silky Fainting Goat. And that changes the direction. Yeah, Lotus agrees with me, as her little waggy tail will tell you. It changes the direction of the breed. And again, it's a privately owned registry. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm actually not opposed to it. I just think maintaining the verbiage Mini Silky Fainting Goat and then moving away from the fainting characteristic and not requiring a registered goat to be a fainting goat it's almost fraudulent. And those are fighting words, I know. And that's, I guess that it's probably not the best word to choose, but it's the best word I have right now. So again, Heritage Silky Fainting Goat Association, or Heritage Silky Fainting Goat Registry, is focused on the things that I believe are the most important for this breed. It is something that I am fully supportive of. I'm super excited to have my herd be a founding member of, and I cannot wait to see that community grow, just like the Mini Silky Fainting Goat community has grown, that I am a part of and will continue to be a part of. So overall, it's just super exciting news for the herd being dual registered. It's super exciting news for me being recognized as being able to be dual registered. It is a line that I have to straddle, And some folks won't be appreciative that I'm doing that, but others I think will. And I hope that my buyers and my clients and my viewers all appreciate what we're doing here. So that's the big news. And I've been sitting on it for like a week now, and I'm super excited about it. And we have our certificate of herd registration. The goats, we're going to get them all entered into the database. It is a little bit of a lengthy process at first. It goes much quicker after the first one. And once we start to really get these, all of these animals entered and all of the breeders up to date and up to speed, it's going to be really fun to see if there's some folks that I haven't connected with or haven't spoken to about these type of things that, sort of fall into that same fundamental belief category that I am. And maybe there is a way for us to start to connect genetics, and, we will continue to talk. So I'm excited about it. I think the future looks bright for both associations. I personally think there's no competition between the two. I think they're very complementary, and I hope that the world starts to recognize that. But that's the news. And I think this video is more than long enough, so we're going to leave it there, and I will see you at the next one. Bye for now.